have flow cycles, and that these experiences can be addicting. You could say that flow is the most addictive state on earth. And so it's like, how do you work around it? How do you mitigate the crash from flow? How do you rest and recuperate? And how do you avoid crashing, And also, what's the role of sleep in recuperating? And also, what's the quickest shortcut to flow? You once called it the hippie speedball, which was 20 minutes of aerobic exercise, a shot of espresso, and a joint.
Sativa. It's got to be sativa. You need dopamine on the front end.
Sativa.
Yeah, he's right. Mimics all the neurochemicals, or a lot of them. It's very close to flow.
Yeah.
So let's start with sleep, because sleep. So let's first.
My friends make fun of me for how much I treasure my sleep.
Oh, but you and I we're the same way, and for the same reason. So let's start with what he's referring to, so you guys can understand it. He's not kidding when he says flow is the most addictive state on earth. Neurochemically, so we have endogenous neurochemicals. We make endorphins, and we have exogenous chemicals. Opiates are endorphins, right? We make our own version of them. And to put it in perspective, there are about 20 different endorphins in the body. The most common one is 100 times more potent than medical morphine. Dopamine is cocaine. So, and literally, when people snort cocaine, the most addictive substance on earth, all that happens is the brain releases dopamine. It's a signaling molecule, and it blocks its reuptake. Serotonin, which also shows up in flow, depending on which pathway it takes, it's either MDMA or ecstasy. You get norepinephrine, and that is crystal meth. It's one methyl chain away from crystal meth. Street speed is the natural version. You couldn't, and anandamide, which is the same psychoactive that shows up in marijuana, it's what THC releases in the brain. You couldn't cocktail those drugs on the street. You'd end up in a coma. They wouldn't work. You actually can't. Cocaine and ecstasy won't work together. They cancel each other out. So you couldn't even do it if you tried. Flow does it naturally. This is the most potent chemical on earth. Just to put it in comparison, romantic love, and we all know how good that feels, that's 2 chemicals. That's norepinephrine and dopamine. Flow is 5 of these chemicals. Most addictive state on earth. And what we've learned, this is again Herbert Benson's work at Harvard, who did the foundational work, is we used to think flow was a binary. You're in the zone, you're not, you're out of the zone. And we now know it doesn't work like that. It's a 4-stage cycle. And you have to move all the way through all stages. So about once a month or so, somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, Stephen, you got to study me. I'm in flow all the time." And in the beginning, when that used to happen to me, I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know if I should tell this dude the truth." But now I just say it. I'm like, we have a word for that. We call that schizophrenia. So, you don't get to actually live in flow all the time. So anybody who's running around going, "Dude, I'm in flow all the time," you're a manic depressive who should probably see a doctor. But the point is that when we go into flow, it is a neurochemically expensive state. And these chemicals are short-lived. Some of them, norepinephrine and dopamine, the romantic love chemicals, are also your main focusing chemicals. Why are TED Talks 20 minutes long? Because they last about 20 minutes in your brain. That's how long we can focus really intensely, and then it starts to fade away. We've all had this experience. You've seen a James Bond movie, everything blows up for the first 20 minutes, and then you're bored for the next hour and a half. You're bored because those explosions have stolen all your dopamine and norepinephrine, and you can no longer focus at all. That's what's going on in your brain. Mm-hmm. So on the back end of a flow state, right, big high, neurochemically expensive, there's a crash, right? It's a recovery phase. And it's actually, I think, and other scientists and researchers have kind of pointed at this, we need much more experiments, but flow's a really big high. And I said it was near perfect, not perfect decision making. It's followed by a deep low. This may actually be a refractory period. You had all these great ideas, and now you get to look at them very, very soberly. I like writing in flow. I love editing on the back end, because if I like what I wrote on the back end of it, I've got no more feel-good neurochemistry. Shit's got to be good, because I'm grumpy as hell, right? Like that. So it works to your benefit if you know how to use it. So that's why.
Well, that works for when I do my videos too.
And it's